What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video we have the Lumen Shooter flashlight. Now we don't. And thankfully Elliot's let me review this. He had it sent to him. So we tested it out, and we actually went hunting with it not too long ago. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I think about it and if you should buy it or not. So let's jump into the video. Alright guys, so real quick before we get too far into this video, I just want to say that this will be linked below if you want to check it out for yourself, so go ahead and do that. But jumping right into the review, once again this is the Lumen Shooter. I believe this is roughly $100–120 on Amazon. It's an upper end flashlight, or I don't want to say upper end, but considering a lot of flashlights you can find for a lot cheaper than that, I would say this is upper end, especially if you're kind of new or just getting into like the shooting or night hunting, whatever it is. If you're just getting into it, it's probably more on the higher end of the spectrum compared to a lot of stuff you look at. I do think that it's a pretty good light. Like I said, we took it out, I tested it some. We actually got to go coyote hunting with it after I did the review test that I'll roll over here in a minute. It worked okay. I'll explain all that here in a second. But if we just do the unboxing. So first thing is the flashlight. As you can see, first of all it dims. So you can see on the camera it's slowly getting dimmer. And then you can also zoom it, which you guys can't tell that much right now, but you can tell it's getting a little more concentrated, as you can see in the camera. But that's pretty much all it does. It does fairly well. It's a pretty big flashlight. That's one of my only concerns with it, is just absolutely massive compared to a lot of the other flashlights I've seen people used to hunt with and everything. But I guess you pay a price, $120 price. It comes with a pressure switch, which you can use as well. I personally haven't tried it out, like actual use. I mean, it's a pressure switch, it works, that's what it's there for. But so far, the only thing we used it for was just taking it and holding it and like checking the field with it. Because once again, it's so big, we didn't really put it on our guns. And then it just comes with a charger and one clamp to attach it to your gun if you wanted to. And then of course, all the different bulbs that it comes with if you want to switch it out. Now, when we talk about the different bulbs, it has 3 different bulbs. It has a red, a green, a white, or LED light, and then also has an infrared. And I don't have the infrared footage. I went and filmed a review of this at night so you guys can see everything. I'll show that here in a second. I don't have the infrared, but Elliot did get some of that on his own. And I'm here to tell you that this is a pretty incredible infrared light. Like, this is absolutely amazing. When it comes to infrared, once again, it's kind of sort of hard to mount this on a gun, just the sheer fact that it's a pretty big light. But when it comes to infrared, it does work good. So if you guys want to know how it kind of worked in the field with the red and the green, because that's how I feel most people would be using this for, and that's mostly what I would use it for, I'm going to roll over that footage right now. So let's jump to the farm in the middle of the night and tell you guys and show you guys exactly what this light can do. Alright guys, so we're out here now with the light. So we have the green light in it first. We're going to test it out, and we're going to start maybe around 15 yards or so, and then we'll go out to around 50 and 100, and then we'll shine it way out there like 400 or 600 yards or whatever, just see if we can see anything. So let's just go ahead and start. We'll turn it on. And right now we have it on the lowest intensity possible, and I know you guys probably can't see that. You might be able to see that. You should be able to. But when I zoom it out, we can see it, but you guys can't really see it till I zoom it way in. Now, if we turn the intensity all the way up on it, it should get a little brighter. And then when we flood it out, you can see that a little bit. But to our eyes, even at when the intensity is lower, we can still see that pretty good. I mean, good enough to shoot something. When we point it out, so like 100 yards or so, you guys can't see that at all. So I know since you guys can't see it, you can look out there now and you might be able to see the beam. The beam's pretty bright, but one reason you don't really want to use the beam when like maybe you're coyote hunting or hog hunting, whatever it is, A lot of times it'll scare the animals a lot more. They can kind of see the light. So we like to keep it way zoomed out like this. And then I'll shine it out about 200 yards. You can still kind of see. You guys won't be able to see until I do the beam. Once again, you can barely see that moving back there on those trees. But for the most part, you guys can't see that. But I'd say around 200 yards with the intensity all the way up. It's pretty neat. I think you could definitely see enough to probably shoot a coyote or something, especially if you can see their eyes coming in. I mean, if you were hunting a hog or any night animal. But once you get out to around 300-400 yards, I mean, if it's the beam, you could definitely see it. But then again, it's like a spotlight. Like the beam is so narrow, you'd have to be directly on it. So that's pretty much it for the green light. Let's switch it out to the red light and see what it looks like. Alright guys, so now we're going to test out the red light. So we'll go ahead and shine it, do all the same tests and see how it works. So right now we're at 15 yards and we have the intensity all the way up. You guys should be able to see that. When we dim it, can they see that, Dave?
No.
No. But we can still see it. It's not very bright. I know you can see it when we concentrate it. But flooded out, it's not very bright. It'll be bright enough for you to see something, but not crazy. At 100, we actually have a lot of like moonlight out tonight, I guess. It's pretty bright out here. So like the red light doesn't look that different than my eyes, honestly. Like it's not very bright at its dimmest. But when we brighten it up, you could definitely see something out there, especially if it was pitch black. And then of course, you can see when it's just like that straight beam. When we move out to 200 yards, you guys should still be able to see the beam. But I know you guys can't see when we zoom out. But personally, I don't think, yeah, you could probably shoot a coyote or something there. If you had the intensity all the way up, when you flood it out, you could definitely see the eyes and stuff. Maybe keep it a little more mid-range instead of flooding it all the way out. The red light's definitely not as bright as the others, as you can tell. I mean, the camera picks the red light up better for some reason, but to the human eye, it's just a little harder to see. And then we definitely can't shoot anything out to 300 yards. If you had it on the beam itself and you know exactly where something was standing and could keep it perfectly still, you might be able to shoot it. But for the most part, it's not going to make that big of a difference at that distance at least. So the red light doesn't seem to go quite as far to us. For some reason the camera does pick it up better, but that's just a false reading, especially in the R part, because like it just doesn't look that good in person. But it's absolutely terrific for what you would use it for if you're using it for predator hunting, because you don't want that fast light. And so now we have the LED/white light on here, so we're going to shine it out and do the exact same test with it. So let's turn it on. And right now we have it as like the laser beam. I know you guys can see that. And if we turn the intensity down, can they still see that, Dave?
I can still see it a little bit.
But
actually, it's pretty decent.
When we zoom it out,
no, you lost it.
You guys can't see that, but when we brighten it up, you can see it. But once again, the camera doesn't pick up as good as our eyes do. So like this is all the way zoomed out at like 100 yards. You can see absolutely great. You could see, if there was anything out there, you could see it. And when we do the laser beam, of course you guys can see the laser beam. Like you can always see that laser beam no matter where it's at. If we dim it some at 100 yards, that's when it starts getting hard for like us to see. You could still see out there, but not quite as good. When we move out longer distance, you guys can't really see that. I can't see around 200, but when we turn the intensity all the way up, you could see out there, just not quite as good. You can make something out though. And then of course, we zoom in all the way again and do the laser beam. You guys can see that back there on that tree line. And if we zoom out midway, you can see pretty good around 200 yards. Can they see that, Dave?
A little bit. You can see it moving.
We can see it in our eyes pretty good. And then once you get to 300, the camera can't pick this up at all. But we can kind of see that hill. Once again, if we spotlight it, we could see anything that was on that hill perfectly around 300-400 yards. We wouldn't have a problem seeing it, but you would have to, like, it would have to be into the direct spotlight. Alright guys, so we're back now. We're back from the farm. And like I said at the beginning of the video, that was filmed a while ago, and then we actually got the opportunity to hunt with this after that video was filmed. So in the video, I was pretty surprised with it. I thought it did fairly well, and I thought it would be absolutely killer out in the field. Because one thing I've just recently learned, and Elliot's taught me as well, that he just recently learned, when it comes to predator hunting, we've noticed and we've been told multiple times since this year started, basically, as we're trying to get more into it, one of the biggest problems is your light's too much of a beam. It's not zoomable enough, it's not dim enough, and that a lot of times can spook the animals, or the animals just won't come in because they can see the light. They're, prior to what you might have heard, animals aren't just completely colorblind to light, but when you have it at such like a dim and zoomed out level, you know, it helps, like, just completely makes a huge difference is one thing we've learned. But when we were coyote hunting with this, it almost just wasn't that great. It seemed like we just kept running into a lot of problems. I mean, even though it does have the two different options, it was either like it just wasn't bright enough to where we couldn't see the field, and then if there was something, I felt like when we dialed in, it was almost too bright for what it was. However, it was raining that night, so that could have had something to do with it, because like you guys saw in that video, it did seem to do fairly well. So overall, I think this is a pretty good flashlight. I don't know if I would permanently keep this around forever. Once again, this is one of those things we're just getting into, and the only ones we've really had, I mean, just a couple different ones off Amazon that we've been lucky enough to test. So I'm excited to try more of them out, but I don't think this is a terrible light by any means. I think that this is actually a very good light. Like I mentioned for like the 18th time now, the biggest thing for this to me is just, it's so big. I mean, it's not really convenient to hold in your hand. It's not convenient to attach to your gun because you have to attach it back here, but then you have to find where it's like that. It just doesn't work for me when it comes to that. But overall, I would say it probably is worth its money if it's something you're looking into, and if you can find or think of a way to just easily mount this on your gun. This is not something I've tried to mount on my gun 100 different times or really thought about. It's just simply like putting this on my scope isn't the best option for me. So I'm sure if you sat down and thought about it, or maybe you bought some attachments, you could get it on there fairly well. But that is the biggest downside to me. But otherwise, I think we'll probably continue to use this a lot, because once again, I mean, we're tired of not killing any coyotes or hogs, and one of the biggest problems we've had is spooking them. So hopefully by using something like this, we won't have that problem anymore. But I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It means so much. If you would do me one huge favor, please hit that subscribe button. It means more than anything, and it allows me to keep making this content and bringing these review videos to you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Last time I'm going to say it, this has been the Lumen Shooter flashlight. You can check it out in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time, and as always, take someone outdoors.